Hi, I'm Jessica Taylor from Ink It Up with Jessica, and in this video I'm going to teach you how to make cards with your patterned paper by showing you how to make this birthday card from start to finish. The patterned paper that I used on this card is called Inked Botanicals, and it comes in 6x6 sheets like this. And the two patterns that I used on this card are back to back, but you could also cut up multiple sheets to mix and match your pieces. These three pieces are each 2 inches by 3.5 inches. So I'm going to start by cutting a strip that's 3.5 inches tall, and I want to make sure that the 3.5 goes this way so that my flowers are up and down. So we'll cut that at 3.5 inches. Save this for a different card. And then we'll cut this into 3 2-inch pieces. So you can turn them over and use them like this. To make the card base for this card, I used crushed curry cardstock, and you're going to take an 8.5 by 11 inch sheet of cardstock, and along the long 11-inch side, you're going to cut it at 5.5 inches. This is going to cut it in half so that you can make 2 card bases with 1 sheet. Next, I'll turn that and use the scoring blade at 4.25 inches. So the darker is the cutting blade and the lighter gray is the scoring blade. The side that has the bump on it is what I use on the inside. So then I'm just gonna fold on that score line, match up my corners, and give it a good crease with my bone folder. It might be hard to see on this video, but to add a little extra interest to the card base, I did stamp some lines on the background. I'm going to use a piece of grid paper underneath my card base when I'm doing the stamping so I don't get ink on my surface where I don't want it. And then I'm going to use this striped stamp from the Inked and Tiled stamp set with the Versamark ink. Versamark is a watermark ink that is so versatile because you can stamp it on any color cardstock and it will show up. So it'll just look a little bit darker. You're not going to see these stripes all the way around the card, but I'm going to stamp it off all of the edges just to make sure. The Versamark ink can also be used for heat embossing and a number of other techniques. So this really is a versatile ink pad. All right, now I'll just go on the bottom, stamp some final stripes there, and we're done. Okay, now we will tape our pattern paper pieces to our card front. Depending on your design, you might want to pick the one that you like the most for this side. The flowers go up the highest, so maybe I'll pick this one. And then these two I'll flip over. And I'm going to start by taping the polka dot ones to the sides of the card. Let me put that one out of the way so I don't mix it up. I'm just going to use some Stampin' Seal on the back. You can use your adhesive of choice. I like double-sided tape because I can use it without making a mess, unlike liquid glue, which I get all over everywhere. No matter what kind of adhesive you're using, I love this silicone mat because if you get any kind of adhesive on it, it's really easy to clean up. So I'm just gonna tape these on at a little bit of an angle. Don't overthink it too much. Just plop them on down there. And then we'll put some tape on the back of this one. So again, this time I'm putting the tape on the polka dot side so that I can show the flowers. Now, before I tape this down, and I could have done this before I added tape, at whatever point you remember it, I'm going to take my bone folder and I'm just going to rough up the edges of this paper a little bit, just to give it a little more something, right? So you can make big creases, you can just make little kind of roughed up edges, whatever you want. On this first card that I made, you can see here that I curled up a little corner in the bottom, so maybe I'll do that again this time. Probably easier to do this before you would add the adhesive, but sometimes when you're making a card, you don't realize it needs a little something until you've already completed a step. Okay, so I like that folded up just a little bit. And then we'll plop that right in the center like so. I like it. All right, let's go ahead and add our greeting now. I'm going to use Calypso Coral ink. The happy birthday stamp is from this Circle Saying stamp set, and this is a stamp set that I got to help design, so of course I love it. And it's got a number of different greetings that you could use. I'm going to stamp the happy birthday on basic white cardstock, and then I'm going to cut it out with a longer die. So I just want to make sure that's kind of in the center. I might have stamped that down a little bit low, but I think it's going to be okay. I'm going to grab my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine to do a little bit of die cutting. And because we're die cutting, we're going to use the number 1 base plate, followed by the number 2, a number 3, and then I'll put my paper down. I'm going to use one of the Countryside Corner dies. This is the smallest kind of open die. And then I'm also going to use a piece of crushed curry paper, and I'm just going to cut one of these die shapes out. So this one doesn't matter where it's at. This one I want to make sure that it's centered. So you can just put it where you want it and then carefully put another 3 on top. Sometimes I'll just use some Post-it tape to hold it in place. And then another number 3 on top, and we'll run that through. Now I've got my birthday piece and my banner piece, and we can tape those together. I'm going to put just a strip of Stampin' Seal on the back of the white greeting piece, and then layer that over the banner so that the banner ends are just peeking out from the end. Then I'm going to put some Stampin' Dimensionals on the back of this because I want it to pop off of my card a little bit. Take the backings off of those, and then I'll add that to my card front. For the final touch, I'll add 2 iridescent rhinestones in the bottom corner, using one of each size. These are really fun because they look different colors and different lights. Like right now they look a lot kind of yellow and pink, but in some lights they look more green purple. But the yellow pink is perfect for this card. I'm just going to take the spatula end of my Take Your Pick tool to pick that up and plop it down. I guess there's 3 different sizes, so I used a really big one, a little bit bigger than the one I used on the first card. But that's okay because every card should be a little bit different. That's it. I hope you'll grab some of your patterned paper and make a card with what you've learned in this video. Watch this video next if you'd like to learn more ways to use your patterned paper to make cards.